Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are in my kitchen. We are making elk jerky. We were recently lucky enough to fill our bull elk tag. As landowners, we get a bull elk tag every so many years. And we really do enjoy elk, but especially as jerky. And I have a recipe that's been passed around in this area for probably like 30 years. But it's a really good jerky recipe. I've never tried it with anything other than elk. I did try to make beef jerky with it. Would not suggest, because beef jerky is beef meat is entirely different composition than game meat. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the flavor of deer or antelope, so we don't go in for those. We don't like to hunt for things that we don't want to eat, or give to somebody that does want to eat it. So we do enjoy elk quite a lot. It has really good flavor for being game. But I am going to run down through the recipe really quick. Hopefully I can pop it up on the screen over here. It's been a really long couple of weeks, guys. I've been really busy. So if my brain seems a little scattered, it's because I've been really busy. Okay, so I've got all the ingredients out here, but one of the main key things that when you're making jerky you want to remember is that once you get your hands in the meat, because it really is hands-on, that you don't really want to have to handle all of these things because it makes cleanup really aggressive. So I've already got all my spices mixed. I put them all in here, so I only have to handle that. But I've got we need water, 2 tablespoons of water, a 1/3 cup of Tender Quick. This is what makes it safe to dehydrate, so that you don't get food poisoning. That's the part that makes meat safe. Ground cardamom, marjoram, I don't know how to say that. MSG, another one of those things that helps make it safe. Cayenne pepper, black pepper, liquid smoke. This stuff is key in making it taste really good. Garlic powder, and 7 to 8 pounds of meat. I've got 8, and of course the dehydrator. So I am going to add the water and the liquid smoke into the bottom of my bowl, and a key ingredient. You're gonna need olive oil. You're just gonna need it. It's key. And then I have one of these. Don't roll off the table. It is just a jerky gun. Is all it is. We got it at sale at Cabela's, but it's pretty basic. It's like a caulking gun, only you put jerky in it. It's a lifesaver, it really is, when you're doing jerky. So I need 3 tablespoons of liquid smoke. This is one of those things you want to shake really good because it separates. And we like ours a little extra smoke. And then I need 2 tablespoons of water. Has anybody else experienced with their Android phone lately that once you did the update, the camera won't stay on? Like, it's causing a lot of trouble in my life because I use my phone camera for all my videos and it cuts out constantly. So if it seems choppy, it's because my phone camera keeps turning off automatically. If anybody knows the answer to that one, let me know. All right, I'm going to add the meat into this, put the seasoning on top, rub it all in together, massage it really good so that all the flavoring, all the safe stuff is covering the meat. So, here we go. Okay, let's pause real quick and talk about the jerky gun and the olive oil and the trays and the dehydrator. That's the word. Okay, so I've got my meat sitting there. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on my Tender Quick. And my seasoning. I'm going to do about half the seasoning. I already stirred it so that it'll be really even. I'm going to do half on top here and save half for once I start getting it mixed together, and then I'll add the rest. Okay, so this is what my jerky gun looks like. And it has a few key pieces. It comes with a lot of pieces, but the only pieces you really need are the gun, of course, the ring that holds the attachment to the end. There's a little silicone ring that goes, it's like a seal that goes in here. And then whichever head you want to use, we like to have the jerky that is kind of long and flat, dries better than the round jerky. And then the plunger to fill your jerky gun. So you take your olive oil and you want to, oops, that's a lot, coat your hands pretty much. I wasn't quite ready to coat my hands, but we're going to anyway. And grease all of your stuff. Ring, it goes in there, coat it, and just count on it getting on everything. There really isn't anything you can do about it. It's going to be all over your hands, all over the gun. Come on now, release. My camera is going to be so full of olive oil by the time I get done with this project, because it keeps turning off. It is an extremely messy part of the process to grease the inside of the jerky gun, but it makes all the difference because once it slides really good in there, then everything goes so much easier. Okay, so we're gonna add the tip, screw it on. Now the other end of the tube unscrews so that we can fill it full of jerky. So I'm gonna set that aside, and this is why I clean my table ahead of time, because I've got olive oil all over the table, which is fine. It's just a messy process. It doesn't have to be, I suspect, but it is for me. Okay. I've got more than enough olive oil everywhere that I shouldn't have to touch the olive oil bottle again with meat on my hands. A little bonus of having it on the table, I guess. But you do want to coat your hands with olive oil unless you like the smell of raw meat in your hands. My hands are always really dry, so anytime I handle raw meat, my hands just won't come clean of the smell. So I discovered that if you rub olive oil into your hands really good, or wear gloves, but I don't really wear gloves in my kitchen. I'm only cooking for my husband and I, so it's just us. All right, time to make the meat yummy. Okay, let's talk just a couple of tricks I've learned from making jerky. The camera turned off, so I took the opportunity to change the camera angle for you. I think I can get it all on the film and still be able to function. Okay, so these are my new trays. I used to have one of the circular cheap dehydrators with the plastic trays, and I tried to make beef jerky in it, and they drip down towards the motor. So the motor filled up with beef grease and it burned up like in flames. So that is pretty much a major no-no. But I got a new one where the motor and the fan come from the back, which I feel like is very important. And another tip is you want to have your meat thawed out completely, your hamburger meat thawed out completely. If there's any frozen chunks in there, then they're just going to be different than the rest. And it's going to turn out kind of nasty in your jerky, and it probably won't have all the seasoning in it because it was frozen. And if your hamburger is too cold, if your fridge is really cold, then set your hamburger out for a little while, because you really have to mix it really good with your hands. Like, I don't think you could mix it well enough with a spoon to get it really well seasoned and even. And if your hamburger's too cold, your hands are gonna freeze. I just realized you cannot see what I'm doing. It's like the worst recipe to try to put on camera because you don't have raw meat all over your hands. You can't change your camera angle. You about have to have a friend help you with your camera. All right, so I'm just gonna fill the jerky gun. And it's best to kind of do, well, balls of jerky that are similar to the size of the tube, because you do not want to have air bubbles in your tube. Sometimes you cannot avoid it, but you try not to. Are we getting close? Yeah, we're there. Okay. Set that in there. I'll hook up the jerky gun here. So I gotta press that far. It slides up and it screws on. Don't ever tighten anything too much because once your hands are greasy, it's really hard to get it untied. So then, it's pretty basic. You just lay out some strips. This is my first time using this dehydrator. On my other one, I knew I could get 8 pounds of meat to fit in it. On this one, I don't know how it's all gonna fit, so. You want to leave space in between so that the air that's drying it can get all the way around it. But yet, space them close enough together that you don't have to make more than one batch of dehydrating, because it takes a long time for them to hydrate. Hours and hours. Okay, so I'm going to set my temperature to 160 and my time to about 10 hours. It'll probably be less than that, but I'm just going to set it to that. Go ahead and start it. So I actually had a little bit of hamburger left over, and that is because I'm not using my bottom tray. So in this dehydrator, the heating element is in the back. which is a big deal because when you dehydrate meat, sometimes it leaks a little oils, and of course gravity, it all goes down to the bottom. So I actually had about a pound of hamburger left over, so I need to make this recipe with 7 pounds, not 8 pounds for my dehydrator, because I need a tray in the bottom with a drip pan so that I don't end up with a huge mess. And since I've never used this dehydrator before, I actually don't know if this bottom part down here gets hot or if this came with it. So I'm not sure. I know it's not going to melt, but it might melt if it came direct contact with something that gets 160 degrees instead of just floating in the 160 degrees air. So it's kind of like a trial run. If I had the tray, this part down here, I could definitely do 8 pounds of jerky and use this bottom tray. But I just really don't want this to melt because this is my first run in this machine, and I know it'll be okay there. So I'm going to go ahead and load up all the jerky in here. So with this being my first round in this dehydrator, I didn't even think about which way the trays fit in here, because this is the way I wanted the jerky to go, so that when the air came through, it would follow the lines through and, you know, evenly heat, which I think it'll evenly heat no matter what. But these, I feel like it's going to hit that back row and then kind of bounce over the top. So next time I'm going to definitely put them on the trays this way instead of this way. It may not make any difference at all. So basically now I just close it and away it goes. So as with any time that you handle raw meat, make sure you clean all of your utensils and your surfaces really well. And I will be back to talk to y'all when it is done. So see you later. Okay, so here we are 8 hours later, approximately. Let me show you what's going on. All right, here we are. Let's pop this boy open. The trays are hot because they're metal. But here is what we got going. I'm looking for a snap. And we're getting close. Really close. That almost counts. In fact, if you wanted to, you could probably stop here, because, let's see if I can get that to focus. That's pretty close. That means it's dry almost all the way through, so this will be a little chewy. But we like ours to be a little overdone, because we don't like to chew. We don't like to chew. We don't like to have to chew on it aggressively to get it softened up. So the more you cook it, the more it snaps, the more it'll dissolve in your mouth faster. Basically, you want to stop right before burning. So I probably have like another 40 minutes, or maybe less, because that snapped there. See, that just snapped off. Maybe 30 minutes on this, and then it'll be completely done. So from there, when it's done, I will put it in freezer baggies and keep it in the freezer. I don't think you have to keep jerky in the freezer. I think you can keep it on the counter, but I always keep ours in the freezer because we don't go through it really fast, and it just keeps it fresher, tasting better, and actually we eat it frozen. So we'll just grab a stick out of the freezer and eat it whenever, and it's great. This recipe is quite, I wouldn't say it's spicy necessarily, but it has a really good bite to it, probably from the Tender Quick and the MSG, which are both kind of salt-based, so it has that salty bite to it. So if you are not supposed to have a lot of salt in your diet, this is not the recipe for you, but it is delicious. It's really good jerky. Yeah. So that pretty much sums up my jerky recipe. We usually only make it with elk because the consistency of the elk and the fat content make it really ideal for this recipe. If you're going to try for a greasier meat, you're going to need a different recipe. If you try it, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. All those things help my channel to grow. And I will see you later. Bye.